All right. Hello, everyone. Dr. Torme here, speaking to you from downtown Murfreesboro on Friday, August 27th. We held our in-person class, our second in-person class this morning, and this is your introduction video for week two. I've got a couple of reminders and some other pointers about week two materials. So I hope you find this introductory address helpful for our second week of class. My first reminder is to complete the introduction assignment sometime by or on August 30th. That's a Monday. That serves a couple of things. Not only do you introduce yourself to class, but you also um, indicate that you're buying in. You are doing what you need to indicate that you are a member of our classroom community. That's not going to be graded, but your first discussion posting assignment, which will be graded, will be due the following week. I'll go over the nuts and bolts of that particular assignment on uh, Wednesday, September 1st, which is our next in-person class meeting. This past week, we got a thumbnail overview of the history of science. We learned that, well, scientists, both formally and informally trained, have been doing science since time immemorial. The term scientist and the concept of the scientist is only about 200 years old. So that's an important point to keep in mind as we move forward. Also, as we go back in time from our current moment, we see that the highly specialized divisions of science that we recognize today and the conditions in which science is practiced fade into overlapping and more generalized bodies of knowledge, less associated with the concept of science and more associated with the idea of natural philosophy, which is much broader and vaguer as a field of intellectual inquiry. So if you have yet to do so, it's worth your while to read the two sections from the Philosophy of Science textbook that I linked you to under week one. Those will provide some introduction. Also, if you look at the section, the linked clip from the Complexly series by Hank Green, that also does a pretty good job to just provide a broad overview for the history of science. And once we establish that, we have a good opportunity to chart our way forward. Those two readings might be a bit thick, but the effort will be worthwhile. I should also stress that our early materials, the ancient materials, might offer some rough going. They might not make a lot of sense with a first reading, and that's okay. They're all a couple thousand years old. They're translated from ancient languages, and they represent very different worldviews from that which all of us collectively have today. So my advice is just to forge ahead, do what you can, take what you can, draw out what you can. The effort will be worthwhile as we move forward into the middle weeks of the term. I should also offer this other reminder. All of our class meetings, our in-person class meetings, are recorded, and the recordings of each class are accessible via the videos link on the toolbar on your D2L homepage and also on the content page. So if you miss class for whatever reason, there's a video available there for you to watch so you can stay caught up. So that takes us to our week two materials. In addition to watching this video, hopefully you'll do this on Monday, August 30th or Tuesday the 31st. But hopefully in addition to watching this, you'll read the assignments that I've linked you to on the D2L content page under week two. And you'll also give the notes a scan, and in addition to looking at the video clips that I've linked you to and asked you to look at. Again, that's serves in place of an in-person class meeting, so think of it that way. Think of the time you spend looking at those materials as time spent familiarizing yourself with concepts that we will look at in our in-person class meetings. The materials are all worth some basic review, but the videos you're linked to on the pre-Socratics and the one that introduces the concept of Epicureanism are particularly important. These are linked under the Week 2 review section on the D2L content page. The streaming interview with the scholar Stephen Greenblatt is also worth a look. I'll explain more about that and why I've included it in Wednesday's in-person class meeting. It's actually kind of interesting. So give these things a look. On Wednesday, we will talk about them. The key figures to recognize and learn about are the philosophers Epicurus and Diogenes and the poet Lucretius. We'll talk some about all of them as the week unfolds. The key terms are pre-Socratic, Epicureanism, and atomism. See if you can get a handle on what these terms might mean through the various resources that you have available to you. These ancient ideas created by poets and philosophers over two millennia, 2,000 years ago, actually have surprising relevance for today's scientists and theories associated with science and the composition of matter. So we'll get at some of that. If you have any questions before our next in-person meeting on September 1st, please email, of course, via D2L. I'm much likelier to offer you a meaningful response if reached through D2L email. So if that's the case, please reach out. Otherwise, I will see you in Peck Hall 322 at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Sorry for going on a little bit longer than I intended, but hopefully that provides a useful overview for week 2. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.